Let me tell you something most people will never admit. Right now, someone in your life is manipulating you, and you're letting them. Maybe it's your partner who somehow always gets their way. Maybe it's your boss who guilt trips you into staying late. Maybe it's that friend who only calls when they need something. You feel it in your gut, that sinking feeling that you've been played again. But you can't quite name it. You can't quite prove it. Here's what I know after 15 years of studying human behavior. Manipulators don't target everyone. They can't. They specifically hunt for people missing these 4 psychological qualities. And once you develop these traits, you become completely immune to their games. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the exact qualities that make someone manipulation-proof. Not theory, not wishful thinking. Actual psychological armor that manipulators can't penetrate. And here's the part that might surprise you. You probably already have 1 or 2 of these. You just need to strengthen the others. So what are they? Let's start with the foundation, the one quality that makes all the others possible. Quality 1. Unshakable self-trust. Here's the first quality manipulators absolutely cannot penetrate. You trust yourself more than you trust their version of reality. Most people have this backwards. When someone challenges their perception, they immediately start doubting themselves. Did I really say that? Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. No. Stop. That's exactly how they win. People who are immune to manipulation have something I call self-trust anchoring. When someone tells them a different version of reality, they don't immediately cave. They trust their own perception, memory, and judgment more than someone else's convenient rewrite. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Your partner says, "You promised we'd go to my mother's house this weekend. Now you're backing out like always." The manipulable person thinks, "Did I promise that? I don't remember, but maybe I forgot. I do forget things sometimes. I should probably just go." The manipulation-proof person thinks, "No, I specifically said I had to work this weekend. I remember that conversation clearly." This is a rewrite. See the difference? One person immediately doubted their own memory. The other trusted it. I worked with a woman whose husband used this tactic constantly. He'd agree to something, then later claim he never said it. For years, she kept detailed notes trying to prove she wasn't crazy. She had a journal with hundreds of entries documenting conversations. Then one day, she stopped writing things down. Not because she trusted him more, because she trusted herself more. When he'd say, "I never agreed to that," she'd simply respond, "Yes, you did. I remember clearly. We're not debating reality." No argument, no proof offered, just absolute certainty in her own perception. You know what happened? He stopped trying that tactic with her. It didn't work anymore. Manipulators are efficient. They don't waste energy on tactics that fail. Here's the gossip part people whisper about. He didn't stop manipulating. He just found a new target. His coworker started having the same memory problems his wife used to have. Because manipulation is a strategy, not a one-time event. So, how do you develop unshakable self-trust? Start documenting your own experiences, not to prove anything to others, but to prove to yourself that your memory is reliable. When someone challenges your version of events, pause before doubting yourself. Ask, "Do I actually doubt this, or am I just being pressured to doubt it?" Notice the difference. Real self-doubt comes from within. Manipulated doubt comes from external pressure. Trust your gut more than their words. Your intuition is processing hundreds of microsignals they're sending. That uncomfortable feeling isn't paranoia. It's pattern recognition. And here's the most important part. Stop explaining yourself to people who've already decided you're wrong. The manipulation proof don't over-explain. They state their truth once and move on. But self-trust alone isn't enough. Because manipulators have a second weapon they deploy when the first one fails. And that's where quality 2 becomes critical. Quality 2, comfortable with conflict. Here's the quality most people completely lack. You're comfortable with other people being upset with you. Read that again. Comfortable with other people being upset. Manipulators weaponize your fear of conflict. They know if they get angry enough, cry hard enough, or create enough tension, you'll cave just to restore peace. Your nervous system can't handle the discomfort, so you'll agree to almost anything to make it stop. People who are manipulation-proof don't have this weakness. They can sit in conflict without flinching. They can let someone be angry without rushing to fix it. They can tolerate disappointment without immediately changing their boundaries. Let me paint you a picture of what this actually looks like. It's Thursday evening. You have plans with friends. Your partner wants you to stay home because they're feeling anxious. The old you would cancel immediately, wouldn't you? Can't let them feel bad. Can't be the cause of their distress. But here's what the manipulation-proof person does. I hear that you're anxious. That sounds really hard. I'm still going to my plans tonight, but I'll check in with you later. That's it. No negotiation, no guilt, just acknowledgement and boundary. Your partner escalates. Wow. So you're just going to abandon me when I'm struggling? That's really selfish. The manipulable person crumbles here. You're right, I'm being selfish. I'll stay. The manipulation-proof person. I understand you're disappointed. I'm still going. We can talk more tomorrow when you're feeling calmer. And then, here's the key. They leave. They actually follow through. They let their partner be upset. They don't rush back. They don't send 50 apologetic texts. They let the discomfort exist without trying to manage it. You know what's fascinating? Within a few experiences of this, the manipulator stops using that tactic because it's exhausting to perform anger that doesn't produce results. I had a client whose mother used health scares to control him. I'm having chest pains. The doctor says it could be serious. But don't worry about me. Go to your daughter's recital, if that's more important. For 20 years he fell for it, cancelled plans, rushed to her house. The chest pains always miraculously resolved once he arrived. There was never an actual emergency, just a pattern of manufactured crises that always happened when he had other priorities. Then he learned quality too. The next time, Mum, if you're having chest pains, call 911 immediately. I'll meet you at the hospital after Emma's recital. She was furious. I can't believe you'd choose a school play over your mother's health. He responded, if it's a real emergency, call 911. I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And here's the gossip nobody tells you. She didn't call 911 because there was no emergency. There never was. And you know what else? She stopped having chest pains during his important events. The tactic lost its effectiveness, so she retired it. But being comfortable with conflict doesn't mean being cruel or cold. It means you can hold your boundaries even when someone's emotional response is designed to break them. How do you develop this quality? Start small. The next time someone pressures you to change a boundary, sit with the discomfort instead of caving. Feel the tension in your body. Notice you don't actually dissolve. You survive their disappointment. Practice these exact phrases. I understand you're upset. My answer is still no. I hear your feelings. I'm not changing my decision. You're allowed to be disappointed. I'm still doing what's best for me. And stop explaining. Stop justifying. The more you explain, the more ammunition you give them to argue. No is a complete sentence. Use it. Remember, their emotional reaction is not your responsibility to manage. You can care about someone and still let them experience their own feelings without rescuing them. So you've got self-trust. You're comfortable with conflict. But manipulators have a third trick that defeats even strong people. And that's where quality 3 becomes your secret weapon. Quality 3. Pattern recognition over promises. Here's the third quality that makes you manipulation-proof. You judge people by their patterns, not their apologies. This is the one that catches people off guard. Because manipulators are often great at apologizing. Amazing even. They cry. They promise to change. They swear it'll never happen again. They're so convincing that you think, this time is different. This time they really mean it. They don't. People who are immune to manipulation have developed something called pattern vision. They track behavior over time, not words in the moment. They don't care what you say. They watch what you do, repeatedly, consistently, when nobody's watching. Let me show you how this plays out in real relationships. Your friend borrows money, promises to pay you back Friday. Friday comes, I'm so sorry, unexpected expense, I'll have it next week for sure. Next week, I feel terrible, I'm the worst friend, give me until the 15th, I promise. The 15th, something came up with my car, but I swear I'm good for it. The manipulable person thinks, well, they keep apologizing, they seem genuine, they're going through a hard time, I should be understanding. The manipulation-proof person thinks, apology number 4, payment number 0, the pattern is clear. This person doesn't pay back loans. And here's the critical part. They stop lending money. Not because they're angry, not because they hate the friend, but because the pattern has spoken louder than all the promises combined. I worked with a man whose business partner kept missing deadlines. Every single time, the partner had an elaborate excuse. His kid got expelled. His wife filed for divorce. His father had a health crisis. His dog got hit by a car. Each story was tragic, detailed, impossible to fact-check. My client kept giving extensions because how could you hold someone accountable when they're going through so much trauma? Then one day, purely by accident, he met the partner's wife at a coffee shop. She had no idea about the divorce filing. The partner's father had been deceased for 3 years. There was no dog. Every excuse was manufactured. Every deadline missed was a choice. The pattern was clear, but the apologies and sob stories had masked it for 18 months. Here's what people don't understand. A good manipulator can explain away individual incidents. That one time was special circumstances. But they can't explain away patterns. When the same thing happens 5, 10, 15 times, with different excuses each time, the pattern is the message. So how do you develop pattern recognition? Start tracking behaviors instead of listening to explanations. Keep a simple log in your phone, not to weaponize but to see clearly. Friend borrowed money March 3rd, promised repayment March 10th. Still waiting April 15th. When someone apologizes, respond with interest in behavior change, not emotional reassurance. Don't say, it's okay, I forgive you. Say, what specifically will you do differently next time? Watch the gap between promises and actions. Someone who means their apology will demonstrate change immediately and consistently. Someone who's manipulating will have beautiful words followed by identical behavior. And here's the key. Stop giving unlimited chances. Pattern established after 3 repetitions gets your boundary. First time might be an accident. Second time might be a coincidence. Third time is who they are. Believe them. But even with these 3 qualities, there's one more that seals the deal. This is the quality manipulators fear most. Because once you have this, you become completely untouchable. Quality 4. Authentic indifference to their opinion. Here's the final quality that makes you completely manipulation-proof. You genuinely don't care what manipulators think of you. Not fake indifference, not pretend confidence. Real, bone-deep comfort with them thinking you're selfish, difficult, cold, unreasonable, or whatever label they try to stick on you. This is the quality that ends the game permanently. Because every manipulation tactic ultimately relies on you caring about their perception. They call you selfish. You scramble to prove you're generous. They say you're being difficult. You immediately become more accommodating. They label you unreasonable. You bend over backwards to seem rational. But when you genuinely don't care, when their opinion of you has zero influence on your self-concept. They have no leverage. None. The manipulation simply cannot land. Let me show you what this looks like when it's real. Your family member says, "You've become so distant. You never visit anymore. We used to be so close. You've changed." The manipulable person. "You're right, I'm sorry, I've been so caught up in work. I'll come by this weekend, I promise." The manipulation-proof person. "I'm comfortable with the amount of contact we have." That's it. No apology, no explanation, no scrambling to prove they're still a good person. Just a simple statement of their reality. The family member escalates. "So you're saying you don't care about family? That work is more important than your own mother?" Manipulable person. "No, of course not. That's not what I meant. Family is everything to me." Manipulation-proof person. "You're welcome to interpret it however you'd like. My answer hasn't changed." See what happened there? They didn't take the bait. They didn't defend their character. They didn't prove their love. They just let the accusation exist without absorbing it. I worked with a woman whose ex-husband was a master at this tactic. Every time she enforced a boundary about their co-parenting arrangement, he'd say, "You're alienating the kids from me. They're going to remember how you kept them from their father. You're damaging them." For months she'd panic, overcompensate, give extra time, break her own boundaries. Because what if he was right? What if she was damaging the kids? Then she developed quality 4. Next time he said it, "That's your interpretation. The custody agreement stands." He was shocked. "So you don't even care if you're hurting your own children?" She replied, "I'm following the court-ordered schedule. You can believe whatever you need to believe about my motivations." No defense, no emotional reaction, just facts and indifference to his characterization. You know what's fascinating? Within 2 months, he stopped using that tactic. Not because he changed, but because it stopped working. Manipulators don't waste energy on tactics that fail to produce results. Here's the gossip people don't talk about. He tried the same manipulation with his new girlfriend. And it worked beautifully on her, because she needed him to see her as a good person. My client didn't need that anymore. So, how do you develop authentic indifference to a manipulator's opinion? First, recognize that someone trying to manipulate you has already disqualified themselves from judging your character. Their opinion is strategically deployed, not genuinely held. Why would you value strategic feedback? Second, get clear on whose opinions actually matter to you. Make a list of 5 people whose perspectives you genuinely value. Notice that manipulators aren't on that list. Let that inform your emotional response. Third, practice these phrases. "You're entitled to your opinion." That's your interpretation. "You're welcome to think that." Say them without defensiveness. Mean them fully. And finally, watch how your energy shifts when you stop performing for their approval. Notice how much lighter you feel. That lightness is freedom. So here's what happens when you develop all 4 qualities simultaneously. You trust yourself more than their version of reality. So gaslighting doesn't work. You're comfortable with conflict. So guilt and emotional manipulation don't work. You judge by patterns, not promises. So love bombing and fake apologies don't work. You're indifferent to their opinion. So character attacks and social pressure don't work. You become what I call manipulation-proof. Not immune to bad behavior, you'll still encounter manipulative people, but immune to their tactics actually working on you.